At the extreme north of Europe lies a young and enigmatic sea, born from ice and shaped by time. A sea where Earth's history is still written in every wave. The Baltic Sea is unlike any other. Its waters are an unstable blend of fresh and salt water, creating an environment where life must reinvent itself to survive. Here, marine species coexist with freshwater organisms, slowly adapting to a world that is changing rapidly. Each creature is a silent witness to evolution and progress. Low temperatures, limited water circulation, and the fragility of the ecosystem make the Baltic one of the most sensitive seas on the planet, and also one of the most revealing. Welcome to the Baltic Sea, mysterious creatures from the surface to the depths. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. And tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's begin. 10 millennia ago, when the last mammoths still walked the earth, a silent and monumental revolution was taking place in northern Europe. The huge glaciers covering Scandinavia began to retreat, leaving a colossal depression that was soon filled by ocean water. But the Baltic was not born like other seas. It arose as a geological anomaly, an impossible hybrid between fresh and salt water. The glacial melt created a unique environment, brackish water with only 1/3 the salinity of the ocean, creating conditions that neither marine nor freshwater creatures were prepared to face. This was the setting for one of Earth's most dramatic evolutionary experiments. The first organisms to colonize these strange waters faced an extreme biological dilemma. Marine fish struggled to regulate the salt in their bodies, while freshwater species literally drowned in the excess salt. Only the most adaptable survived, and in the process, they transformed into something completely new. Generations of natural selection forged creatures that exist nowhere else on the planet. The Baltic cod developed super-efficient kidneys to handle the unstable saline environment. Grey seals evolved to dive deeper and stay underwater longer than their oceanic cousins. Every species that calls the Baltic home carries in its DNA the epic history of this impossible adaptation, a testament to the resilience of life instilled by the Creator. Today, the Baltic Sea is home to more than 100 species found exclusively in its waters. An evolutionary treasure hidden right in the heart of civilized Europe. But this uniqueness comes at a terrible price: extreme vulnerability. A system that took thousands of years to balance can be destroyed in a few decades by human activity. Every pollutant, every degree of temperature increased due to global warming, every human-caused change resonates through this ecosystem like an earthquake. What we witness today in the Baltic is not just the struggle for survival of individual organisms, but the final test of 10,000 years of evolution against the transformative power of human civilization. The question is no longer whether these species can adapt again, but whether they will have enough time to do so before irreversible tipping points are reached. "200 meters below the surface, where sunlight never penetrates and pressure crushes any unprepared life, resides one of the Baltic's most mysterious creatures, the giant cod. These are not the cod we know from the North Atlantic. They are magnificently adapted versions, with more robust bodies and surprising intelligence for navigating the complex and often stratified waters of the Baltic. Dominant males can measure over a meter and weigh 30 kilograms, true dragons of the brackish abyss. They dominate the deepest layers of the sea, where salinity is more stable and oxygen is scarce. Observing a giant Baltic cod hunt is witnessing thousands of years of evolutionary refinement in action. Calculated movements, infinite patience, and lethal precision that rivals any oceanic predator. But the cod are not alone in the depths. They share their kingdom with the Baltic flounder, masters of camouflage that have developed unique patterns to blend with the characteristic muddy bottom of the region. While their oceanic relatives depend on clear sand, the Baltic flounder evolved to completely disappear on dark, organically rich sediments. When they lie motionless, they are truly invisible. A survival strategy so effective that they can remain buried for weeks, waiting for the perfect prey. Juvenile herring, unsuspecting crustaceans, and even small cod become victims of this supernatural patience. The predator-prey relationship in the Baltic depths is a dance of death, where every movement can mean life or extinction. If cod are the giants of the depths, herring are the bloodstream of the Baltic Sea. Billions of tiny individuals, each weighing only a few dozen grams, unite in massive living currents. Schools of fish that can stretch for kilometers, moving like a single organism. In the murky, brackish water, the herring school reflects light like liquid metal, swirling in unison in hypnotic shapes. This is not just a defense strategy. It is a language of survival based on neural coordination and hydrodynamic pressure. Herring is the perfect trophic intermediary of the Baltic ecosystem. They eat plankton, transforming the microscopic energy of the ocean into flesh and fat, and then become the source of life for almost all larger predators. Grey seals, giant cod, salmon, cormorants, and terns all depend on the reproductive rhythm and abundance of herring. In spring, when the ice melts and the light returns, the herring perform an ancient ritual. Millions migrate to the shallow coastal waters to spawn, covering rocks, algae, and fucus forests, with a layer of eggs that shine like morning dew. It is the moment when the Baltic teems with life, and also its most fragile moment. If the temperature rises a few degrees too early, or if oxygen decreases due to eutrophication, an entire generation can be annihilated before hatching. When herring declines, the ecosystem does not immediately collapse. It bleeds slowly. Seals must hunt farther afield. Seabirds abandon their nests. Young cod lack food and never reach adult size. In recent years, scientists have observed worrying changes. Smaller herring schools, shorter reproductive cycles, and altered synchronization in the shoals. They are the first signs of an ecological heart beating with arrhythmia. Because when the herring no longer beats at the correct rhythm, the Baltic Sea does not just lose a fish species. It loses the heartbeat that sustains life for the entire ecosystem, from the dark abyss to the bird-filled sky. And when that vital heartbeat slows down, ecological voids begin to appear. Areas where life must learn to exist in the most extreme conditions imaginable. What makes these depths even more fascinating is the constant struggle against hypoxia, areas where dissolved oxygen becomes dangerously scarce. Throughout the summer, entire layers of the seabed become aquatic deserts, where only the most specialized organisms can survive. This is the last frontier of life in the Baltic, where survival requires not only adaptation, but true biological innovation. These organisms have developed biochemical mechanisms to tolerate levels of hydrogen sulfide and operate with minimal metabolic efficiency. When winter turns the Baltic Sea into an ice fortress, one of the most magnificent spectacles of European nature appears: the warrior grey seals. These are no ordinary marine mammals. They are 300-kilogram gladiators who have evolved to dominate both ice and water with equal prowess. Females establish territories on ice floes, fiercely protecting their pups against predators, storms, and even other seals. observing a Baltic grey seal, mother defending her territory, is witnessing the pure expression of maternal instinct, a protective love that has been granted to them. Their roars echo across the ice like declarations of war, establishing complex social hierarchies that decide who will survive the brutal winter. Beneath the ice, these seals transform into biotorpedoes, perfectly calibrated to hunt in the dark waters of the Baltic winter. They can dive up to 100 meters and remain underwater for 20 minutes, navigating through total darkness using only echolocation and super-sensitive whiskers that detect fish movement meters away. An adult grey seal consumes up to 8 kilograms of fish a day, becoming one of the most efficient predators in the ecosystem. The true miracle occurs when the pups make their first transition from ice to water. Born with soft white fur, they must quickly learn that their survival depends on mastering a completely different environment. Mothers literally push them into the icy water, forcing them to develop crucial skills. This harsh education has a 40% mortality rate, but the survivors emerge as some of the most resilient creatures on the planet, ambassadors of an ecosystem balanced between wild beauty and extreme adaptation. In the shallow waters of the Baltic, where sunlight can still penetrate to the rocky bottom, exists one of the oldest and most vital forests in Europe, an underwater forest of fucus algae that has grown uninterrupted for thousands of years. These giant brown algae, some over 2 meters tall, form an underwater canopy that rivals large terrestrial forests in complexity and biodiversity. Each fucus plant is a complete ecosystem, harboring hundreds of tiny species. Baltic fucus forests are the nursery for regional marine life. 80% of juvenile fish spend at least part of their youth hidden among these protective algae. Within this underwater forest, a silent war for survival unfolds every second. Amphipods, small shrimp-like crustaceans, graze on the algae like underwater livestock, controlling growth and recycling nutrients. Pipefish, long and slender like blades of grass, are perfectly camouflaged among the fucus leaves, darting out like miniature torpedoes to catch unsuspecting amphipods. This micro-community operates with an efficiency that would put any human city to shame. But this magical forest faces an existential threat that has grown exponentially: eutrophication. Excess nutrients from agriculture and urban wastewater feed the proliferation of microscopic algae that block sunlight, slowly suffocating the fucus forests. Scientists estimate that 85% of historical fucus forests have been lost, a habitat extinction that occurs so gradually that few realize its severity. The remaining fragments are treated as the crown jewels of Baltic conservation, as every square metre of surviving healthy fucus carries the burden of preserving an ecosystem that took millennia to develop. In the brackish waters of the Baltic, jellyfish are not merely creatures adrift. They are a biological indicator, a biological thermometer, signaling that the sea is changing its breathing rhythm. When the water warms, when excess nutrients cause microscopic algae to explode, and when juvenile fish decline due to lack of oxygen, jellyfish can become the most terrifying beneficiaries. Their transparent bells pulse silently like the heartbeat of the sea, trailing hundreds of thread-thin tentacles. They do not need speed or strength. They only need the current to bring prey closer. Plankton, crustacean larvae, and even unsuspecting juvenile fish all can become trapped in the invisible net of stinging cells. And the scariest part is, jellyfish win in chaos. In oxygen-poor waters where many fish must retreat, jellyfish persist thanks to their simple physiology and high tolerance. When jellyfish swarms thicken, they don't just eat, they block the future. They consume fish larvae, compete directly for food with juvenile fish, and turn the breeding season for many species into a risky gamble. A sea that seems peaceful, but underneath there is a silent substitution. From an ecosystem dominated by fish, shifting to a world governed by gelatinous wanderers. Jellyfish are a reminder that the Baltic is extremely sensitive. Just a small change can completely tip the balance toward a new era. Of all the creatures living in the Baltic Sea, none carries a more epic and astonishing story than the European eel. These water snakes live an adventure that defies human understanding. They are born in the depths of the Sargasso Sea, 6,000 kilometers away, and somehow navigate across the Atlantic to find the brackish waters of the Baltic, where they spend decades growing and developing. An eel can live over 80 years, becoming a living library of the sea's environmental history. They have witnessed world wars, climate change, and industrial transformations, accumulating in their bodies a chemical record of 8 decades of human activity in the Baltic region. What makes Baltic eels truly extraordinary is their supernatural navigation ability. They possess a magnetic sense so precise that they can detect changes in Earth's magnetic field smaller than those recorded by our most sensitive instruments. In their migratory journeys, eels cross hydroelectric dams, swim through polluted industrial channels, and even exit the water to bypass terrestrial obstacles. A skill that has allowed them to colonize virtually any body of water connected to the Baltic. But even these immortal travelers have found an enemy that can defeat them: modern human infrastructure. Hydroelectric turbines have fragmented 80% of the rivers, creating deadly labyrinths where up to 40% of adult eels die attempting to return to the sea to reproduce. Industrial pollutants accumulate in their fatty bodies, creating toxic cocktails that affect fertility. The eel population in the Baltic has decreased by 95% since the 1980s. Every eel that manages to complete the epic journey back to the Sargasso Sea carries with it the genes and the hope that this ancient species can survive the 21st century. But jellyfish are not the only ones taking advantage of the disturbance. The Baltic is opening its doors to strangers and the resilient, species arriving from elsewhere or returning, bringing with them a new order. In the rivers flowing into the Baltic Sea, an epic battle for survival takes place every spring: the return of the wild salmon. These magnificent creatures, some weighing over 15 kilograms, have swum thousands of kilometers across the ocean and now face the most dangerous journey of their lives. Swimming against the current, against furious flows, leaping 3-meter waterfalls and dodging a galaxy of predators, the Baltic salmon has developed extraordinary musculature and cardiovascular systems that allow them to sustain extreme efforts for consecutive weeks. Watching a 10-kilogram salmon repeatedly jump at a waterfall until conquering it is witnessing one of the purest expressions of determination in nature. What makes Baltic salmon truly special is their genetic fidelity to the rivers where they were born. Using a sense of smell 1,000,000 times more sensitive than a human's, they can detect the specific chemical signature of their natal river. This chemical navigation allows genetically distinct populations to maintain their unique characteristics for thousands of years. The genetic diversity accumulated in the Baltic salmon is an evolutionary treasure. But the heroic journey of the salmon has become a race against extinction. Hydroelectric dams have blocked 80% of historical spawning rivers, and industrial aquaculture has introduced modified salmon that pollute the wild gene pool. As a result, the wild salmon population in the Baltic has decreased by 70% in just 30 years. Every salmon that manages to return carries with it the genes of a species fleeing extinction. Above the surface of the Baltic Sea, one of the largest concentrations of seabirds in Europe takes place daily, an aerial spectacle that rivals any acrobatic display. Cormorants, great black-backed gulls, and terns plunge from heights like living bullets. But the true star of this aerial theatre is the Baltic lesser black-backed gull, a bird that has evolved specifically to dominate the unique conditions of this sea. With a wingspan of 1.5 meters and an intelligence that allows for tool use, these gulls have developed hunting techniques that exist nowhere else. They fish cooperatively using coordinated formations to corral entire schools of fish against the rocky shores. The hunting precision of Baltic birds is almost supernatural. Terns can detect fish from 50 meters up, instantly calculating the light refraction angle in the water to compensate for the apparent position of the prey versus its actual location. Their dives are so precise they rarely miss, a critical efficiency in an environment where every calorie counts to survive the brutal winter. Cormorants have developed a unique hunting technique in brackish water. They can dynamically adjust their buoyancy, swallowing or expelling air from internal sacs, allowing them to dive up to 4 minutes deep to pursue prey on the bottom. This adaptation makes them the only cormorant in the world capable of hunting efficiently in low salinity waters. The breeding colonies of Baltic seabirds are aerial cities housing millions of individuals on remote rocky islands. In summer, these islands become noisy metropolises where every square metre is fiercely contested. The birds have developed a social system of community nurseries, where experienced adults care for the young of multiple families, allowing more parents to fish simultaneously. This social cooperation has enabled Baltic seabirds to maintain stable populations even in the face of increasing environmental pressure. In the shallow, nutrient-rich waters of the Baltic, there is a kingdom of predators that challenges our traditional understanding of plant life. Aquatic carnivorous plants have evolved to actively hunt. Bladderwort, Utricularia, a rootless, free-floating plant, has developed microscopic suction traps. These are the fastest known biological structures on Earth. In less than a millisecond, these traps create a vacuum force so strong that small crustaceans, rotifers, and even fish larvae are irresistibly sucked into the digestive chambers, where they're slowly dissolved by enzymes. A single plant can trap hundreds of prey a day, making it one of the most efficient predators in the Baltic ecosystem. All this happens while still performing photosynthesis like a normal plant. What makes these carnivorous plants truly extraordinary is their ability to actively regulate the aquatic ecosystems they inhabit. By massively consuming zooplankton and small invertebrates, they control populations that might otherwise explode and consume all available phytoplankton. This sentence seems misplaced and is about starfish regeneration. I will translate it, but note its original context might be mixed with the surrounding text about carnivorous plants. Their capacity for regeneration is so astonishing that a lost arm that would normally regrow now becomes a mortal wound. Nitrogen and phosphorus obtained from animal prey are immediately available for their growth, allowing them to thrive in waters where ordinary plants cannot compete. The relationship between aquatic carnivorous plants and the rest of the Baltic ecosystem creates a food web that seems straight out of science fiction. Small fish have learned to carefully navigate among the traps, using them as refuge from larger predators. It is a deadly game where one false move means instant death. The Baltic Sea has become an evolutionary battlefield where invasive species wage a silent war against ecosystems that have existed for millennia. The most devastating invasion began in the 1980s, when cargo ships accidentally brought zebra mussels from the Black Sea waters. In just 3 decades, these filter-feeding mollusks have completely transformed the Baltic ecosystem. Colonies of trillions of individuals constantly filter seawater, removing so much plankton that the base of the marine food web has been drastically altered. Where complex plankton communities once thrived, we now find crystal clear but biologically poor waters, a phenomenon scientists call clear water desert. But the zebra mussel was just the beginning. Chinese mitten crabs arrived in 1912 and have since excavated such extensive tunnels in the shores that entire coastal communities face increased erosion. The American jellyfish, introduced in the 1990s, forms swarms so dense that they block the cooling systems of nuclear power plants and devastate juvenile fish populations. The round goby, a fish native to the Black Sea, is systematically displacing native bottom fish. What makes this invasion particularly fascinating is that it is essentially creating a new ecosystem, a hybrid ecosystem that is no longer entirely Baltic. Some native species are adapting and even benefiting from the changes. Grey seals have learned to hunt Chinese mitten crabs, diversifying their diet. Native aquatic plants compete more effectively against invaders in low salinity waters, creating refuges where historical ecosystems persist. This new hybrid nature poses profound questions for conservation. The Baltic Sea is becoming a natural laboratory where we test our conservation philosophies for a planet dominated by human activity. The Baltic Sea is warming twice as fast as the global average, becoming Europe's clearest laboratory for climate change. Winters, which historically froze 45% of the sea surface, now leave only 10% covered by ice, fundamentally altering the ecosystems. Grey seals, which traditionally gave birth on safe ice, are now forced to carve on rocky beaches where pups face terrestrial predators and hypothermia. Water warming exacerbates the Baltic's deadliest problem, hypoxic dead zones. Higher temperatures drive the growth of algae, which consume oxygen as they die and decompose, creating vast areas where complex life simply cannot exist. These dead zones already cover an area larger than Denmark and are expanding exponentially. In exceptionally hot summers, up to 60% of the Baltic seafloor can become uninhabitable for fish. Only anaerobic bacteria survive in these water deserts. But amidst this climate crisis, we also witness extraordinary stories of resilience and rapid adaptation. Some phytoplankton species have developed tolerance to higher temperatures in just 2 decades. Some herring populations have shifted their spawning patterns, laying eggs earlier to avoid overheated waters. The central question is no longer whether the Baltic Sea will change, but whether the creatures that call it home will have enough time to adapt before the changes become catastrophic. Scientists estimate that we have a window of 20 to 30 years to make significant changes before irreversible tipping points are reached. The Baltic Sea is sending us alarm signals about the future of all temperate marine ecosystems on the planet. Amidst the tranquil waters of the Baltic, where the sea reflects the silver-grey northern sky, the mute swan, or Sisny vulgar, glides like a mirage, unhurried, silent. A symbol of peace, but behind that pure beauty is a silent struggle for survival no less harsh. Baltic mute swans rely almost entirely on shallow coastal waters, where seagrasses and benthic plants provide food. If water levels change, salinity increases slightly, or the bottom becomes covered in mud due to eutrophication, all their food can disappear. In winter, when frost covers much of the sea surface, Swans gather in large flocks in bays with open water. Hundreds, even thousands of individuals huddle together in increasingly smaller spaces, where food is scarce and diseases spread easily. The breeding season exposes the clearest fragility. Swan nests are built right at the water's edge. A stronger than usual storm, a high tide due to climate change, or disturbance from human activity, all can wash away an entire generation before they are born. And despite their gentle appearance, mute swans are not weak. When defending their young, they become fierce warriors, ready to confront foxes and even humans. The presence of swans is a delicate measure of coastal ecosystem health. The mute swan reminds us that not all ecological collapses are loud. Some occur silently, slowly drifting away like their own shape in the water until it is too late to return. In the depths of the Baltic Sea, on a cold, muddy bottom where light is dim and oxygen always precarious, starfish move with the slowness of ancient biological clocks. Without hunting or chasing, these creatures exist thanks to patience, playing an irreplaceable role in the ecosystem. They are, in essence, the recyclers of life, feeding on carcasses, weakened mollusks, and organic fragments that sink to the depths. In this way, every step of their slow crawl becomes an act of cleaning that prevents the seafloor from turning into a biological cemetery dominated by anaerobic bacteria. What truly makes starfish special is their ability to survive in adverse conditions where many other species are forced to retreat. Even when oxygen decreases and both fish and crustaceans disappear, starfish remain as the last guardians of the Baltic bottom. Their presence or absence serves as an early signal to determine if a seafloor area is still alive or has already died. Nevertheless, not even these resilient creatures are invulnerable, as prolonged periods of hypoxia drastically weaken them, reducing their capacity for regeneration to the point where a lost arm that would normally regrow now becomes a mortal wound. When starfish disappear, organic waste accumulates rapidly. Oxygen is consumed at a faster rate, and the spiral of ecological degradation accelerates. In certain areas of the Baltic, scientists have documented the disturbing phenomenon of the silent seafloor, a place without stars, without worms, and without any sign of movement, where only mud, bacteria, and toxic gases remain waiting to be released by the next storm. Although they are not the rulers, nor do they impress with speed or strength, it is precisely that modesty that makes them the foundation of stability. Ultimately, they remind us that life is not only sustained by great predators, but also by these slow and tenacious creatures that perform the invisible work in places few look. Meanwhile, amidst the world of grey mud and icy waters of the Baltic, sea slugs emerge like misplaced brushstrokes of colour: deep blue, burnt orange, milky white, and bright gold edges. Lacking a shell or armour, they are the most fragile creatures, but they also represent one of nature's toughest tests. Living so slowly that they appear almost immobile, they glide over rocks, algae, and fucus forests in search of very specific prey like sponges and hydroids. In fact, each species of sea slug consumes only certain types of prey, an evolutionary strategy so precise that it leaves no margin for error. Without a shell to protect themselves, sea slugs have chosen another evolutionary path. They absorb toxins from their prey and transform their own bodies into a living warning, where their vibrant colours do not seek to attract, but to warn that they should not be touched. In the harsh world of the Baltic, beauty is their weapon. However, this specialization is also their Achilles heel. When water quality declines, or eutrophication eliminates algae, sea slugs are the first to fade, as they cannot migrate far or quickly change their diet. For this reason, scientists consider them the nervous system of the Baltic, so sensitive that their disappearance often indicates that ecological collapse has already begun long before. Despite everything, where the water manages to recover, sea slugs return. They do so slowly and silently, like the first strokes of colour in a painting being restored. Their return is not loud, but it carries a profound meaning, proof that the Baltic still possesses the capacity to revive. Thus, sea slugs remind us that not all vital creatures are large or strong. Sometimes the fate of an entire ecosystem is reflected in the most minute beings, those fragile colours that float slowly over the icy seafloor. Throughout this journey through the waters of the Baltic Sea, we have witnessed something profoundly human: the universal struggle for survival against unimaginable odds. Every creature we met, from the warrior seals of the Arctic ice to the microscopic carnivorous plants, carries a powerful message of resilience, adaptation, and the unconquerable power of life. But their story is also a mirror for our own species. Just like the giant cod adapting to the impossible brackish water, like the eels navigating thousands of kilometers, guided by ancestral instinct, like the salmon leaping waterfalls against furious currents, we too have the capacity to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. The Baltic Sea is not just an ecosystem in crisis. It is a laboratory of hope where scientists, fishermen, conservationists, and ordinary citizens are rewriting what is possible. Oyster reef restoration projects are bringing life back to dead zones. innovative seaweed farms are capturing carbon while cleaning the sea. Migration corridors for fish are being rebuilt, allowing salmon to return to rivers they haven't seen in decades. Every person who watches this documentary has the power to influence the destiny of this extraordinary sea. Reduce fertilizer consumption, support sustainable fishing, choose products that do not contribute to polluting the Baltic. These are not just consumer choices. They are votes for the survival of creatures that spent millions of years adapting to live in this unique place. The Baltic Sea teaches us that no battle is impossible, only battles that have not yet been won. If 300-kilogram seals can learn to hunt invasive crabs, if century-old eels can navigate through industrial dams, if microscopic plants can regulate entire ecosystems, then surely we, with our technology, science, and capacity for global cooperation, can find a way to preserve this evolutionary treasure for future generations. The last refuge is not just a place on a map. It is a promise we make to the future. A promise that life, in all its magnificent diversity and resilience, will always find a way. Because in the end, we are all creatures of the same blue planet. And the Baltic Sea is our window to a future where wildlife and human civilization not only coexist, but thrive together. The story of the Baltic Sea is not just a documentary about fish and algae. It is a mirror reflecting our own future. What happens today in these brackish waters? Accelerated warming, oxygen loss, the fight against pollution is the prelude to what all the world's oceans will face if we do not act now. The Baltic is the canary in the mine of our planet, warning us that time is running out, but also showing us that nature has an amazing capacity to heal if we give it a chance. However, hope cannot be based on optimism alone. It must be grounded in rigorous data. Recent research from the Stockholm Resilience Centre and the Geomar Institute has revealed a crucial ecological and economic truth. The Baltic Sea is not just a body of water, it is a gigantic blue carbon sink. Studies show that seagrass meadows in the Baltic can sequester carbon up to 35 times faster than tropical forests. A report from the Helsinki Commission warns that we are dangerously approaching a point of no return in ocean acidification. Their climate models predict that without a drastic reduction in CO2 emissions and agricultural nitrate runoff, the Baltic's capacity to regulate the regional climate could collapse by the year 2050. This is not speculation. It is the unanimous conclusion of over 200 oceanographers and marine biologists. Science is clear. Protecting the Baltic's biodiversity is not charity. It is an investment in our own survival. Restoring a hectare of seafloor does not only save cod or grey seals, it protects coastal cities from erosion, secures the multi-billion-dollar fishing industry, and filters the air we breathe. We're talking about vital ecosystem services that sustain the economy of 9 industrialized nations. As we contemplate the vast expanse of this hybrid sea, from its icy archipelagos to its anoxic depths, we face the paradox of the Anthropocene. We are the species that has the power to destroy this world in decades, but we are also the only ones with the consciousness and technology to save it. The story of the Baltic Sea, with its miraculous genetic mutations, its biological invasions, and its silent resistance, is ultimately our story. It teaches us that adaptation is possible, but it has physical limits. It shows us that nature does not need our compassion, it needs our disciplined, science-based action. Will we be the generation that allowed the brackish heart of Europe to stop beating? Or will we be remembered as the architects of the Great Recovery? The answer is not written in the stars, nor in the depths of the abyss. It is written in the decisions we make today. If this journey through the evolution, science, and fragile beauty of the Baltic Sea has resonated with you, I invite you to join our outreach mission. Environmental education is the first line of defense against climate change. Subscribe to the channel now. By clicking the subscribe button and activating the bell, you are not only supporting independent creators, you are voting for content that prioritizes scientific truth and natural wonder over media noise. Help us decipher the mysteries of our blue planet. Share the knowledge. Send this documentary to teachers, students, friends, and decision makers. Every view is a seed of awareness planted. Leave us your opinion. Do you believe human technology can reverse the damage in the Baltic before 2050? Cite your sources and join the debate in the comments. We want to read you. The ocean is the origin of life, and protecting it is protecting the future. Thank you for being part of this community. See you in the next expedition into the unknown.